Hello everybody, and welcome to D&D Beyond. I am Raven Shadow, and this is not what I usually do. It is a thing I've been thinking about doing for quite a while, though. Today I want to use this admittedly well put together piece of machinery to build probably the most important character in my book series. She was the first character I came up with, and she is at the forefront of the series. Which is not to say that the other characters aren't important, it's just... Xejion is she's kind of the driving force and the heart of the group and the sticky, juicy inside that keeps them all together. I came up with the idea for this bitch a long time ago. And you might be thinking, Xejion, that sounds like something I've heard before. Well, it probably sounds like Xejion. My brother's been playing Kingdom Hearts lately, again, like we used to about 15 years ago when I first came up with the idea for this character, and I'm like, oh, is that where that came from? Crap. But like, what do you want me to do? It was 15 years ago, and I did change, okay, look. This is not the same, okay? Not quite. Organization 13 has some really cool names in it. Anyway, that was also around the time period I was playing Dungeons & Dragons online, but Drow were locked content, and I thought they were really cool. That was my first exposure to Drow. So I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just make a normal elf character and color her like a Drow. Well, you can't really do that. So the first iteration of Xejion was, I think, a high elf with white hair, but also creamy, pasty white skin. But the intention was that she should be a drow. I think that iteration also was a cleric, which, I did not understand Dungeons & Dragons. DDO was my first exposure to basically most D&D things. So, actually, Xejion might be my oldest D&D character. Anyway, I have made for her this delightful little thumbnail picture, and here we have so far my least favorite of my pictures of her, but also the most polished. It is recognizably her, I made it myself. Moving on. Okay, character preferences. I'm not sure we need the Critical Role content, but I was building a different character recently and discovered that the Chronomancy Wizard is a Critical Role thing, so I don't know what else we might need from there. I'm just gonna leave it on just in case. We don't need dice rolling. Not for this. I'm gonna clear this character slot as soon as I'm done making the video. Optional class features, it's just more options, might as well. There's no reason not to customize your origin if you want to, however, if I remember correctly, the Drow starting racial traits are already perfect for Xejion, so go figure. We will be using prerequisites, yes. Ignore coin weight. Yeah, okay. So that's the homepage. Now, let me see here. Description. Oh yeah. Background, we need a background. Oh, why do we need a background? I could call her an anthropologist. She isn't one on purpose, but I could call her that. She's gonna get, I think, Elven and Undercommon. And then we can add Goblin and Orc, because she speaks Gobble as it is spoken in Frelsuli, and Orcaic as it is spoken by the Blood Banners. Adept Linguist. You know, it would explain a few things. You can communicate with humanoids who don't speak any language you know. Yeah, makes sense. You must observe the humanoids interacting with one another for at least 1 day, after which you learn a handful of important words, expressions, and gestures, enough to communicate on a rudimentary level. And the fun thing about that is that the more intertwined those societies are, the less time it'll take you to learn the expressions and gestures of each new society. Yeah, that was, better for her than I thought. Again, she did not choose to be an anthropologist, but she kind of wound up being one. Ultimately, she's pretty chaotic good. Most of them are, though that would not originally have been my intention. As far as faith goes, Xejion is basically agnostic. She does not really disbelieve in the powers worshipped by other cultures. She just kind of doesn't expect much from them. However, if you want to slot this build into your campaign, probably the correct deity for her to worship would be Elistrae. Xejion's name means moonlight in Shaili, the conlang spoken by her people. So Elistrae would be a perfectly valid choice. I'm gonna say, however, that she is agnostic, if I can spell it. Lifestyle. Well, when we meet her at the beginning of the first book, she is wretched in that she is a slave. But the character who owns her is wealthy or aristocratic in a tribal society. Hair. Silvery white. Skin. Purple. Eyes, ice blue. Height. It was 5 something. Let's call her 5'8". Yeah, 5'8" works. Weight, 20 pounds. Okay, no. Not actually. I am not familiar? Wait, that's what Google is for. Okay. So, let's say 130. Age. 80-something. I think it was 86, I decided. I have misplaced the notebook I wrote it in, but that's the equivalent, roughly, of a human 20-ish. 20-ish. Somewhere I've got a chart of how the different species age. In the case of elves and goblins, I believe their growing up process is from conception to 33, and then from 33 onward they always look like they're 20. So basically she's been 20 for about 50 years now. Her gender is female. Personality... I mean, she's got a few of these. They were rather chaotic when I first wrote the book in 2015, and a lot of improvement and smoothing up has happened. That doesn't necessarily make it easier to decide, we made her an anthropologist, so it's giving us anthropologist ideals. Freedom. Xejion's primary ideal is freedom. Her sexuality runs starkly contrary to that, but her idealistic position is staunchly and immovably pro-freedom. Personality traits, bimbo. Okay, no, that's not quite. Great. How do I remove that? Okay, I can change it like this. Okay, let's just give her this one. It fits, so it doesn't really matter whether it's close to her core or not. It'll about do us. We don't need to spend all day on this. I'm just gonna spend a little time here. I mean, she's in bondage at the start, and she gets out of bondage through the course of the book. Oh! Oh, here we go. Perfect. Flaws. Fish.
I'm a fish out of water. I'm a fish in a desert.
Metaphorical fish in a literal desert. And just like that, we have our personality knocked out. Okay. Description done. Let's do abilities next. I'm gonna do... Let's do point buy. This is not actually my preferred point buy, but it is Adventurers League standard. So, intelligence is fine where it is. We are not dumb, but we are communicating primarily in secondary and tertiary languages. So we're never going to sound smart no matter what we do. In every language except Shayley, Xejion sounds like an Australian bimbo. Wisdom, that can be a little higher, but it's not our primary stat. Charisma is going to be our primary stat. I'm trying to think what we need. We definitely need some dexterity. Although it really is not our primary thing. Well, we will be using it for armor class, so... Gonna go ahead and grab it. Constitution. Never ever drop con, especially as a caster. Now, properly we would give ourselves some strength as well. However, we have limited points and Xejion is very overpowered, so on the standard point buy, we are not gonna waste anything on strength. Just put our last 2 points in wisdom. Ideally, both strength and wisdom would be a little higher, but what you gonna do? Roll dice, I guess. Now, we do race. Ooh, Arakokra, exactly the No. No. The easiest choice to make. Dark Elf. In D&D it's called Drow. Not in my book, because I'm pretty sure that's copyright, but we get the stuff. We have proficiency in perception, we have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put us to sleep, although Xejion does sleep, she just doesn't... She's not as needy for sleep as the other characters are. There's a trance thing, that's a D&D situation. In the book, Xejion doesn't trance. She sleeps. We get some of the best dark vision. We have sunlight sensitivity, which, yeah, I wrote that in. Drow magic. Okay, magic is one thing that is very, very different, generally speaking. Like, D&D is just not the perfect system for exploring this character. That may be where she started, but she sure as hell didn't stay there, okay? Most of her character development actually came from Skyrim, because I loaded it up with a bunch of mods from Lover's Lab, crashed like once every 2 hours on a good day, and frivoled away my college life on admittedly pretty satisfying, but not very educational, role-playing. And it was a blast. Not really worth it though. I'm honestly astonished that an actual game hasn't come out that kind of mimics the modded Skyrim experience. We don't yet have, as far as I'm aware, a game that just rebuilds Skyrim in Unreal Engine 5, except with better everything including graphics, and includes sexual content or can have sexual content modded in. And furthermore, Skyrim mods are still janky as fuck, and I just have decided that they're not really worth my time. Maybe they were once, but they are not anymore. I can just write about it instead. And if I'm playing D&D with real people on Discord, then I'm not even screaming into a void, there's somebody to scream back at me. And yet I am still disappointed that there is no real advancement, that's still where we're at with that. Oh yeah! That was a long tangent to get on from just magic. Wow. Yeah, I'm basically going to try and select, obviously, spells that can work with Xejion's character and with the world that she exists in. However, if everybody in the party is playing mages, and you bring this build to the table, you're gonna be playing the weakest character there, not the strongest. So just keep that in mind. Which means we can finally move on to class. So far, none of the story actually takes place in Xejion's home. Getting kidnapped by orcs and trained by goblins and sold back to one of those orcs is all in her backstory. She is on the surface when we meet her and in the process of learning the Orcaic language, which she has for some mysterious reason stopped speaking. However, just because we don't see where she came from doesn't mean she didn't come from somewhere, and where she came from when I first conceived of it was basically the very little bit that I knew about Drow society from reading The Crystal Shard, which I was extremely disappointed in. I read that and I thought to myself, I can write something way better than this, and I did. However, The Crystal Shard is actual Dungeons & Dragons content, and my book isn't. Furthermore, like Xejion, her society has evolved since then. Sorcerer. Yes, this one. We start out Sorcerer. We are born special. She's an elf, and I am still not completely over the inheritance cycle, so elves are a lot more likely to be born with magical abilities. Proficiencies. Sorcery stuff. Arcana. She's not especially good at deception. She's not especially good at intimidation. She's not especially good at persuasion. Well, okay, she's a little bit good at persuasion. Okay, that'll do us. Spellcasting. Yeah. Standard stuff. I almost never play sorcerers. Sorcerer's Origin. Oh crap, we need one of these. It's not wild magic. I don't think it's storm sorcery. I think it's shadow magic. That seems to me like the closest one. Maybe Aberrant Mind? I don't know, I haven't really looked at them. Possibly Divine Soul. Let's do Shadow Magic. If I don't like it, I can change it later. Eyes of the Dark. Starting at first level, you have Dark Vision with a range of 120 feet. It's true, I did, because I was a drow. When you reach 3rd level in this class, you learn the Darkness spell. Oh, nifty, I already knew the Dancing Lights spell, which doesn't count against your number of sorcerer spells known. In addition, you can cast it by spending 2 sorcery points or by expending a spell slot. If you cast it with sorcery points, you can see through the darkness created by the spell. Yeah, so one way that you could narrate this is if Melzicor is the darkness and he's like swirling around and going through people's eyes or encircling people's heads and keeping them from seeing straight, but he lets Xejion see through them because, I mean, they are capable of teamwork, okay? He's a bitch, but they can work together. And this is one way that you can say he's helping her, which is basically the same thing I'm gonna say about Armor of Agathis. Anyway, at level 1, Xejion has not met Melzicor yet. She is just beginning her little nerd journey, which, considering that her intelligence is 8, is a little bit odd. But I guess it's true, she is a nerd. Huh. I guess you can in fact be both a nerd and a bimbo at the same time. Please excuse me while I pick up the pieces of my shattered understanding of gender. Anyway, yes, Eyes of the Dark, we have them. Strength of the Grave. That's gonna be, starting at 1st level, your existence in a twilight state between life and death? What? I mean, I could facetiously say that's slavery, but I don't think that's what they mean here. Anyway, makes you difficult to defeat. I mean, she's difficult to defeat, but I don't think it's because she's in a twilight state between life and death. When damage reduces you to 0 hit points, You can make a Charisma saving throw, DC 5 plus the damage taken. On a success, you instead drop to 1 hit point. You can't use this feature if you are reduced to 0 hit points by radiant damage or by a critical hit. After the saving throw succeeds, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. But you can if it fails. Good to know. Well, there's level 1. She probably knows how to read by now, and she's going to school. She's got her little clay tablet and her stone stylus, and she's learning to write the conlang that I will eventually make a dissertation on for YouTube, but I have not yet. And she's learning all this cool stuff about magic and demons and what have you. It's a fun time. And she levels up, and she gets a font of magic. At second level, you tap into a deep wellspring of magic within yourself. The wellspring is represented by sorcery points. Yes! Okay, good. Magic. I forgot the magic again. Okay, you have to understand. When she was a Skyrim character, sorcery was basically stealth archery. Doesn't she already know dancing lights? Let's be fun with it. Let's give her Gust. That's kind of telekinetic, right? Lightning Lure is fun. Mage Hand. Very telekinetic. Message. Thunderclap would be very useful in the tunnels because sound down there is really, really dangerous. The elves, as a matter of fact, do use it as a weapon, as I explained in a previous video. Seems like ages ago. But I am not gonna give it to her. I will give her Catapult. She wishes she had Comprehend Languages. Detect Magic is a very simple, it's like breathing with your magic hole. Earth Tremor would be terrifying underground. You cause a tremor in the ground within range. Each creature other than you in that area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone. If the ground in that area is loose, earth, or stone, it becomes difficult terrain until cleared, with each 5-foot diameter portion requiring at least 1 minute to clear by hand. At higher levels, when you cast this spell with a spell slot of 2 or higher, the damage increases by 1d6 for each slot level above first. Okay. I can see her having that and using it above ground and being like, well, that was disappointing. It used to be so devastating back home. Featherfall. Yes, that is a very her thing. I have taken too many. Okay, well, I mean, she's in the learning process. At level 2, this might actually be what her roster looked like. Let's bump it up to level 3, and we get meta magic. Oh, sorcery points, what? Okay, at level 2, I think you can only use sorcery points to get more spells. But the meta magic is where the fun stuff happens. Quicken Spell! When you cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 action, you can spend 2 sorcery points to change the casting time to 1 bonus action for this casting. And that's basically the only thing you need. But we'll take some other stuff anyway. Let's do Twinned Spell. When you cast a spell that targets only 1 creature and doesn't have a range of self, you can show more. You can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level to target a second creature in range with the same spell. 1 sorcery point if the spell is a cantrip. To be eligible, the spell must be incapable of targeting more than 1 creature at that spell's current level. For example, Magic Missile and Scorching Ray aren't eligible, but Ray of Frost and Chromatic Orb are. That's some really good combat options. Do we get more magic? We do. We hit level 3, so there's gotta be. We can get 1 more spell. Oh no. There are so many. So what was the last one we grabbed? We grabbed Featherfall. Every mage needs the shield spell, and that's that. Now, finally, level 4. We are going to put them in an ability score improvement for Charisma. It's our casting modifier. We are very charismatic. Why wouldn't we? We get another cantrip. Okay. What do I want to do with that? Shocking Grasp sounds like a thing that she would do. And for the level 1 spell, I mean, it could be a level 2 spell, but we need more level 1s. Witch Bolt! This is one of my favorite spells. A beam of crackling blue energy lances out toward a creature within range, forming a sustained arc of lightning between you and the target. Make a ranged spell attack against that creature. On a hit, the target takes 1d12 lightning damage, and on each of your turns for the duration, you can use your action to deal 1d12 lightning damage to the target automatically. You don't have to cast it again, you can just decide, as long as you're concentrating on it, that the target gets hurt again. It's bonkers. There is no saving throw, they just get hurt. The spell ends if you use your action to do anything else. The spell also ends if the target is ever outside the spell's range, or if it has total cover from you. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the initial damage increases by 1d12 for each slot level above 1st. Okay, so the initial damage... Crap! That's actually not as good as I was thinking it was. Because if you upcast, then you only deal the really big damage once, and then after that it's just 1d12. Okay, this build is pointless, never mind. No, I'm kidding, but that is not as good as I thought it would be. Maybe there's a level 2 spell that we can do something with instead. Hold Person is insane. It's not very much of a Xejion type thing, but you absolutely can do some fucked up shit with this. Because what it does to the target is it paralyzes them, and every attack roll made against a paralyzed creature is an automatic critical. I think you do still have to hit them, but if they're paralyzed, you're gonna, because you have advantage. So yeah, Hold Person plus Inflict Wounds. Guys, don't ever piss off a druid, okay? Especially a druid who's also a fighter. Knock. Well, you know what? I can see it. I can see that. 100% I can see that. However, it's not the one where... Wait, we've already used up all our stuff. We are in fact going with Witch Bolt here. Even if it's not as good as I thought it was, because it's still pretty good. Okay. Do we go straight to level 5? Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Nothing here. But we do get 3rd level spells, but only one. I will not blame anybody who takes Fireball, but she's not fire-based, and also, as powerful as she may be, she's not so great on area of effect. Nah. I'm grabbing Knock. Let's see, is Fly? Fly is a 3rd level spell, we'll probably grab that next. Do sorcerers get anything at level 6? We'll find out. Yes, we get our Hound of Ill Omen. Oh my goodness. Okay, so at this point you learn how to summon your Hound of Ill Omen, which in the book is Melzicor, even though he's not actually a dog, he's just a demon. But remember how I told you that magic in D&D and magic in my book don't work the same way? Well, this is just what we've got to work with, okay? We can call forth a howling creature of darkness to harass our foes. Uses the Dire Wolf statistics, for which you can see the Monster Manual or Appendix C in the player's handbook, with the following changes. The Hound is medium size, not large, and it counts as a monstrosity, not a beast. It appears with a number of temporary hit points equal to half your sorcerer level, which in this case is 3. It can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. The Hound takes 5 force damage if it ends its turn inside an object. At the start of its turn, the Hound automatically knows its target's location. If the target was hidden, it is no longer hidden from the Hound. Yeah, it's a pretty good Melzicor. He is an asshole. Fly! Xejion knows how to fly. So, she is, at this point, probably about 33 or 35 or something. She's an adult, but she's just got into elf college age. Or I guess she'd be midway through her education. I don't know. She looks like she's 20, and she's gonna keep looking like she's 20 up until at least the book starts, and probably for eons to come. And at this point, she somehow or other ends up fighting a dragon. And for the first time, she summons her Hound of Ill Omen, and he comes along, and he's a demon, and he's like,
okay, yeah, let's fight this dragon together.
And they fight the dragon together, and they kill the dragon together. And when the dragon is dead, he's like,
You wanna be a warlock?
and she's like,
No thank you.
and he's like,
Okay.
so... And narratively, she spends the time between that incident and the beginning of the book basically trying not to become a warlock. However, mechanically, we need the class, and this is where we get it. So, we grab it. We are now a level 7 character with 1 level in Warlock. Our patron! For a few reasons, Hexblade could work. Especially because it's overpowered and she's overpowered. That would get us Shield, which we already have, but also Wrathful Smite, which, I mean, okay, yeah, good. Potentially Blur and Branding Smite, although I don't think we'll ever actually get that far. And then we get a Baleful Curse to throw at somebody. It's a bonus action, have to be within 30 feet, the target is cursed for 1 minute, the curse ends early, if the target dies, you die, or you are incapacitated. Until the curse ends, you gain the following benefits. You gain a bonus to damage rolls against the cursed target, the bonus equals your proficiency bonus. Any attack roll you make against the cursed target is a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20 on the d20. If the cursed target dies, you regain hit points equal to your warlock level plus your charisma modifier, minimum of 1 hit point. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. So, yeah, I can see that being a Xejion thing. However, it also could be that the Fiend would work better. The Hex Warrior thing would be far more fitting later in stuff I haven't written yet than it is in book 1 or 2. Maybe we start out with the Fiend, and then later on you switch subclasses. We get Burning Hands and Command. Well, I don't know, maybe this doesn't work so well after all. When you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier and your warlock level, minimum of 1. Okay, fuck it, we're just going with the Hexblade from the start. Never mind. Obviously, we get Eldritch Blast. Not every warlock needs Eldritch Blast, but Xejion does. I see Toll the Dead in here, and that makes me wonder if maybe we can grab Chill Touch. That is perfect. Actually, no, it's not. It's very good, but for Xejion in particular, Toll the Dead is actually better. So, for our Warlock, first level spells, Armor of Agathis, and again, you can think of this as Melzicor making your enemy cold when they hit you. I'm doing the best I can. She already has Shield. She already has Witch Bolt. Let's do Hellish Rebuke, because that sounds like a fire spell that she would use. I don't care if it's basic. Okay. For a while, she keeps using magic anyway, but every time she does, it comes with a risk that he will be able to insert himself into her soul and force a pact with her. So she doesn't really want to, but she gets that second warlock level, which means invocations. I'm trying to think if I just want the basic, or... What does Armor of Shadows do? I believe it gives us Armor of Agathis, but it's special somehow. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself at will without expending a spell slot or material components. That would be cool, however, she wears armor in the books, which she wouldn't do if she had Mage Armor. You can do that. In no way will I blame you if you want to modify this build for your own purposes. No reason not to. However, we're taking Agonizing Blast. When we cast Eldritch Blast, we add our Charisma modifier to the damage it deals. We're pretty badass. Eldritch Spear is also pretty fucking good, but it is not very much of a Xejion thing. What does Repelling Blast do? When you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast, you can push the creature up to 10 feet away from you in a straight line. That sounds like her. So, what you might notice is that we now have both Eldritch Invocations and Metamagic, which means the cheese must flow, and we love cheese. Do we get more spell? We get one more spell, okay. Arms of Hadar? You invoke the power of Hadar, the Dark Hunger. Tendrils of dark energy erupt from you and batter all creatures within 10 feet of you. Each creature in that area must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 2d6 necrotic damage and can't take reactions until its next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage but suffers no other effect. Okay, yeah, that's a very Melzicor type thing. And we have done it. This is basically where she stays. I guess, like, hang on. If we give her another level of Warlock, what that gets her is her Pact Boon. And she can go with Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Talisman, or Pact of the Tome. None of which really fit her. Possibly hang on, maybe Pact of the Chain? But even Pact of the Chain would basically be alternate universe stuff. You learn the Find Familiar spell and can cast it as a ritual. The spell doesn't count against your number of spells known. When you cast the spell, you can choose one of the normal forms for your familiar or one of the following special forms: Imp, Pseudo-Dragon, Quasit, or Sprite. Additionally, when you take the attack action, you can forgo one of your own attacks to allow your familiar to make one attack with its reaction. Not really a Xejion thing. For starters, that would imply that Melzicor was not the one in the driver's seat, which he very much would be if he got the boon. And what you might notice in here is that there is no Pact Breaker Warlock subclass. I have not made one, nor have I ever heard of a satisfactory one, but Xejion's whole thing with Melzicor is that she's trying to get rid of him. She is trying to rid herself of the baggage she chained to herself without realizing she was doing it. So yeah, she's only a level 2 Warlock. And that is where she stays, basically until the book begins. Sorcerer level 6, we could give her some more Sorcerer levels, honestly, because she was supposed to be really good at magic back in her home, but she's not there anymore. She's on the surface now. And the plot of the book happens, and she gets out of slavery, and she starts building an army, and learning to fight with her hands instead of her head, and that is where she becomes a little bit of a fighter. We get nice hit points for a change. Proficiencies: light armor, medium armor, shields, simple weapons, martial weapons, all good stuff. Fighting style. Okay, she does use a bow in the book. That's not to say she's very good at it. Blind oh my goodness. Blind fighting is very useful. I may end up giving her that, yeah, because she has sunlight sensitivity. Being able to fight with her eyes closed is very useful. A very viable alternative would be defense, because armor class. Great weapon fighting, definitely not her thing. Interception, not her thing. Protection, not her thing. Superior technique. Yeah, feel free. Feel free in your own stuff. Superior technique is not a bad fighting style, but I'm not doing that. Thrown weapon fighting, blah. Not for her. Two weapon fighting, maybe. Although honestly, she does that about as often and as successfully as she does archery. It's not her thing. She's very much a magic fighter. When she can't do magic, she's practically useless. She's definitely not an unarmed fighter. I'm gonna do blind fighting, which makes sense. It actually makes more sense for her than I was thinking when I started this. Okay. And we also have Second Wind, which allows us to heal a little bit as a bonus action. Nice stuff. And then we get level 2, and we get Action Surge. Functionally, we could say we are now in the place that she gets to by the end of Book 1. And from here, basically the rest would all be Sorcerer, I think. Not 100% sure. This is also more or less where she stays up until the end of Book 2, although, well, you know what? She's got to level up at least once by the end of Book 2. Also, depending on the campaign, it could just be like, it might not be an experience campaign, it could be a milestone campaign, in which case she would level up whether she's fighting stuff or not, in the case of which she would probably get 2 or possibly more than 2 additional levels. But let's go ahead and give her 1 more level of Sorcerer. Gives us no class features, but it should give us more spells. 1 more spell. Okay, some kind of transformation. Preferably. Man, I thought those spells were a little lower level. I guess it makes sense that they're not, but I thought we'd have them already. Okay, well, she's not a polymorpher. Let's give her another one. No. Another 2, because that's what we need to get 5th level spells. Hey, look at that, we got another ability score improvement. Let's increase something or other. Charisma, or dexterity, or constitution. Oh, let's cap our charisma. Wait, no, we might take a feat. It's possible there might be some feats out there. She doesn't need a feat. Let's not bother with feats. Okay, 1 more spell. Do we have any kind of... no, it looks like we don't. Shit. I was really hoping that we had Tasha's or Tensor's transformation, but it looks like those are higher level spells. Well, what have we got instead? Oh! Hold Person is the type of spell she would use, because she uses stuff like that at the end of the 2nd book. Right. Okay, where did I put that? She uses other stuff too, but it's here. And that basically means that we don't need all the levels we've got. Let's hop down to 8 again. Yeah, what does that do? What does that do? Basically that. Okay, yes. Character level 12, we are essentially where she's at the end of the 2nd book. So, what does that mean? It means that we are incredibly dangerous. We have a shit ton of magic. Our charisma is capped out. We have 80 hit points. Not that impressive for level 12, but pretty respectable for a caster. Our saving throw DC is 17, spell attack is 9, And we've got some pretty gnarly stuff to use it with. Okay, Underdark mode is good, but also under themes oh, no, not even what I meant. But let's do Wizard Cobalt? Eberron Rising from the Last War, 5. Yeah, that's the one that I use for most of my characters that I actually play as. Well, it'll work for her. Okay. Good. So, how to do the Xejion. In order to Xejion, one sidles up to a band of goblin slavers, which includes a troll. One points one's hand at the troll and says,
Piku!
Or something equivalent, and casts at 4th level Witch Bolt. Again, you have a +9 to hit. I don't remember what a troll's armor class is, but it's not horribly high. This also works on ogres. And you do 4d12 damage, assuming that you hit. But here's the thing, you're going to use meta magic on it, so that instead of casting Witch Bolt as an action, you cast it as a bonus action. So you deal 4d12 damage, and it goes ouch! And then you use your action to cause 1 additional d12 of damage, and it goes ouch! But then, because you're a fighter, you use your action surge and use your second action to once again do another d12 of damage. To which it says, ouch! Yeah, you can see how my misunderstanding about this spell kind of informed what I wanted to do with it. Because I was thinking that you would be dealing 3d12 of damage every time, and that is not the case. However, what you could do is use metamagic to cast Witch Bolt as a bonus action, hit the troll, deal 4d12, and be concentrating on that, and then with your action, you cast Eldritch Blast, which at this point, where does it say how many we have? The spell creates more than 1 beam when you reach certain levels, 2 beams at 5th level, 3 beams at 11th level. Okay, so we have 3 beams. 3 beams of Eldritch Blast, each of which deals between 6 and 15 damage. So, as your action, you can cast that and hit the troll 3 times. Or you can hit 3 individual goblins, and then you use your action surge and do that again. This girl is, how do you say, very Nova. And if you like the sound of that and you want to read a book about it, there's a link in the description. Have a nice day. Also, please either like or dislike the video so that I know whether you want me to show you building other characters from my work. And if you have a preference for which one, comment. For who would win that poll, my money would probably be on Ashira.